Hi, and welcome to Retirement Financial Planning with Steve Schneider. Steve, we've got a great topic today, arguably the most important topic based on tons of data, which is income for life. So many pre-retirees and retirees today, hey, will I outlive my money? They certainly don't want to have that happen. And one of the things that you specialize with your firm is making sure that pre-retirees and retirees plan properly so that they do have income throughout their life. How do you do that?
Yeah, Mark, I'm glad you raised that. It's a great topic. All the surveys that come back highlight that as the number one concern of people in retirement, running out of money. And you're exactly right. That's a shame because today there's all kinds of tools and financial plans, and we have a specialty in making sure that we put in a plan that makes it so you don't run out of money in retirement. And so, yeah, it's a really important topic.
You know, I think there's a misnomer, if you will, Steve, out there that is, I need to have a certain amount of money put away in order for me to have that perfect retirement. Is it fair to say that it's less about the amount of money, meaning two people could have a different amount that they have fully saved up, but could in fact have a high potential for retiring well with income if they have appropriately set up that money to provide income?
Right, and that's exactly it, Mark. The real key is to have a plan. And that plan basically lays out what your needs are and how you satisfy it. And it has less to do with how much money you have, just to make sure that they're all synced up. And yeah, nowadays we can do that real accurately.
You know, there's an old strategy from the 80s and maybe through the 90s, the whole 60-40, right? Where 60% of your money was in this part, stocks, 40% bonds, or some derivative of that. And then they said you could take 4% out per year and that your money would still grow and you'd have enough money to have in retirement. First question, do you still see people that have this? And when you do, what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. It's probably one of the more disappointing things we have, that people come into retirement with that type of approach, when we all know that those approaches no longer work. It's no longer one rule fits for everybody in all situations. What you really have to do is break your plan down and have different allocations in your portfolio, some used for income, some used for other things, and that's really the key to the solution. If you have a plan that's one rule fits for everybody, that's a real sign you need to have a second opinion and get a different view of it.
So they say in retirement planning, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you have the accumulation stage.
Correct.
Right? So from the time you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you're putting money away, 401k, whatever the vehicle is, you're doing that. And then you get to that point, you say, hey, I'm going to retire soon. I can't use this strategy any longer. I have to change my strategy to principal preservation. How important is that one? And then, of course, I got to start paying myself. Right? So how do you take a pre-retiree to that point? They've done a good job of accumulating their nest egg, but now they need to change that mindset.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the most important point, is to recognize that those things that made you successful during the accumulation phase, sometimes the market and even some volatility, now completely work opposite in retirement, and you need to adjust to that in order to be successful in retirement. And yeah, nowadays we can benchmark where everybody's at, because everybody's different, and then lay out a real solid plan that addresses those things that you need in retirement. Because as we know, there's no reset in retirement. Once you retire, it's not like you want to go back to work if you made a mistake or not. So we can alleviate all of the concerns of running out of money and deal with the fact that there is going to be volatility in our markets and those type things.
Yeah. So there's a saying in retirement, Steve, that income is the outcome, that you truly don't have a retirement plan unless you have a plan for the income piece. How often do you see somebody come in, first time you're seeing them, and they lay out in front of you a detailed plan on what their retirement is going to look like? In other words, knowing how much they're going to make in their mailbox every month of every year for the rest of their natural lives.
Right. Yeah, you know, Mark, that's a great question. And it's also one of the reasons why we created Securenet Financial. Because the short answer to your question is, it's rare that somebody comes to us either in retirement sometimes or just planning for retirement. They've had an advisor that they've had for 20 or 30 years and they don't have a plan, and they transition into retirement, and that's what we find drives all the uncertainty, all the concern, and basically degrades your lifestyle, and there's no reason for it. We can fix that and address things with an appropriate plan.
Steve, thanks so much. Hey, if you want more information about making sure that you have income for life, in particular a plan to make sure that you have income for life, give us a call in the office. We'd love to start a conversation, or go to our website.